To do this, we need more than time. Fortunately, we have another ally: distance. The greater our distance from the fallout particles, the less radiation we receive. You would receive less radiation in the middle of a tall building than you would receive on the top or bottom floors, because there would be more distance and partitions between you and the source of the radiation, the fallout particles which would cover the roof and the ground around the building. Only an insignificant amount would get inside. And finally, along with decay rate and distance, we have still another and very important ally: mass. When highly radioactive fallout covers our immediate area, we can shield ourselves through the most dangerous period by using the sheer weight of any material. But the protecting material must be heavy. To shield out some 99% of the radiation, you would need about 5.5 feet of wood, or 2 feet of earth, or 1 1/3 feet of concrete, or 1/2 foot of steel. Even though the thickness of these materials varies, they all weigh the same. Taking a house as an example, it offers a small amount of mass and distance from radiation, but not enough protection in an area of heavy fallout. The solution is plain. Fallout shelters are the best defense against nuclear radiation. Whether in a home for a single family or a large community type in an apartment building, they offer the kind of protection from radiation you would probably need in case of a nuclear attack. But the best shelter would be worthless unless it was used. Most people find it hard to understand how silent, invisible rays, which cannot even be felt, could be so damaging. Let's see what happens when radiation penetrates the body and attacks the cells. What is a cell, and what happens when it is attacked? It's a simple organism which reproduces itself by dividing. Our bodies are made up of millions of cells. They're the building blocks of our blood and tissues. Now, powerful radiation strikes, and cells are injured or destroyed. If radiation stops before the accumulated dose is too great, almost all of the damage eventually will be repaired. If radiation continues, there are some cells less able to function at top efficiency. Should the body fall behind in its recovery, severe illness or death could result. The key, then, is the amount, the total dose of radiation received. We measure radiation the same way speed is measured by a speedometer. Only instead of a speedometer, we have a rate meter. And instead of miles per hour, we measure the rate in roentgens per hour. We need another device called a dosimeter to record how much radiation a person has accumulated over a period of time. In the same way we record accumulated distance in miles, the dosimeter records accumulated dose in roentgens. With this in mind, let's return to background radiation. In an average lifetime, a person might expect to accumulate about 10 roentgens from his natural environment. Not enough to affect his health. This same healthy person would need medical care if he received more than 200 roentgens within a few days. 300 roentgens in the same period would cause severe radiation sickness or possibly death. And as we go beyond 300 roentgens, the danger of death increases rapidly. So now we see why shelter is vital. The difference between accumulating a large dose because of little or no shielding and a small dose because of adequate shielding is the difference between death and life. No clothing, of course, could possibly provide enough shielding. However, if you were to be in the open during fallout conditions, clothing would keep the particles from touching your skin. There is no such thing as a fallout suit, but ordinary clothing would help until you could reach the safety of a shelter. Then the fallout particles can be brushed off and outer clothing removed. If fallout settles on your food, the food itself is not harmed, since radiation damages only living tissue. And you can easily decontaminate it using almost the same methods you use in everyday food preparation. Actually, even if you accidentally swallowed some fallout particles, it wouldn't kill you. The effects, if any, probably wouldn't show up for years. Still, since there is a possibility of long-term effects, such as shortened lifespan, cancer, or hereditary damage, it's wise to remove the radioactive particles by simply washing, wiping, or peeling. But it's vital to remember this: neither water nor chemicals can destroy radioactivity. The fallout particles can only be moved or washed away. Only time can reduce their potency. And what of water? Well, here again, the same rules apply. If necessary, you could drink water containing fallout particles without worry or immediate harm. But chances are you wouldn't have to for long, for water helps to wash itself through the natural processes of sedimentation and filtration. And swiftly moving rivers like this would carry most fallout particles downstream. In still waters, most particles would settle quickly to the bottom. Others might remain suspended in the water for a long time, while a small percent of the radioactivity would dissolve. The normal processing of a water treatment plant would make it safe to drink. And water coming from a covered well would be safe from radioactive contamination. There is no problem with breathing, for air is not contaminated once the fallout is on the ground. Fallout is not a poison gas. If ventilation is needed in a shelter, a simple inverted U fitting on a ventilating pipe would keep fallout particles from entering the pipe and getting inside.